about girl power. Ever heard of Kutulan, the great-niece of the legendary Genghis Khan? Not just a fierce warrior, this lady had a unique condition for any Prince Charming aiming for her heart. Beat me in a wrestling match first. Bold suitors lined up, dreaming of winning not just Kutulan's hand, but also her respect. But here's the twist. Every hopeful groom had to bet horses on the match, and if he lost, those horses were hers. And guess what? Many tried, but none could pin her down. While she did eventually say I do, she remained unbeaten in the ring. By the time she hung up her wrestling boots, Kutulan had a collection of horses, a testimony to her unmatched strength and skill. Talk about a powerful way to say I'm not settling. Talk about unexpected enemies. Napoleon Bonaparte, the military mastermind who carved a sway through Europe, met an adversary he hadn't anticipated: fluffy bunnies. Yes, you heard right. In July 1807, eager for a rabbit hunt, Napoleon's hunt took a comedic turn. Instead of sourcing wild, skittish rabbits, someone had the bright idea to use tame ones. Picture this: hundreds, perhaps thousands of these furry creatures, rather than fleeing, saw Napoleon and his formidable entourage and thought dinner time. What was meant to be a dignified hunt turned into a furry frenzy. Napoleon's men, trained for warfare, found themselves being swamped by enthusiastic bunnies hoping for a nibble. The grandeur of the French emperor was challenged as he had to beat a hasty, and probably rather embarrassed, retreat to his carriage, all thanks to a fluffy ambush. Imagine enlisting in the army and finding out your fellow soldier is a bear. That's precisely the scenario the 22nd Artillery Supply Company of the Polish Army found themselves in during World War II. As they moved refugees through Iran in 1942, they stumbled upon a cute Syrian brown bear cub. Orphaned and alone, this cub, named Wojtek, wasn't just adopted as a furry mascot, but became one of the guys. Wojtek shared his soldier buddies' life, wrestling, mimicking their habits, and even indulging in some occasional beer and cigarettes. But here's where it gets wilder. When the company was set to move to Italy, the ships had rules against transporting mascot animals. Their ingenious solution: enlist Wojtek. So in came Private Wojtek, the bear soldier. Proving his worth, Wojtek even got promoted to corporal for his diligent service, helping move artillery shells during a crucial battle. Yet every soldier deserves a peaceful retirement, and post-war, Wojtek enjoyed his tranquility in Edinburgh Zoo.
Ah, the world of ancient Greece, a land of philosophers, warriors, and playwrights. But did you know the fate of one of the greats, Aeschylus, the man often dubbed the father of tragedy? His death might seem like something out of one of his plays, but with a comedic twist. After penning numerous tragedies, where fate often played a cruel hand, Aeschylus met his end in a way that, well, feels more like a slapstick comedy. Picture this: Aeschylus, basking in the Sicilian sun near Gela, unsuspecting, when out of the blue, an eagle, clutching a tortoise, mistakes Aeschylus's bald noggin for a rock. Hoping to crack open its shell bunch, the eagle drops the tortoise right onto Aeschylus's head. An ironic end for the tragedy master, isn't it? You'd almost expect a Greek chorus in the background, commenting on the absurdity of it all.
New York, a city that never sleeps and never stops surprising. Did you know that back in 1922, this bustling metropolis witnessed a truly bizarre chapter in its history, all thanks to straw hats? Picture this: it was the roaring 20s, and for the city's gents, fashion was king. There was an unspoken rule: wearing a straw boater hat after September 15th. A big no-no. It was as good as begging for public shame or your hat to be knocked off. Yet some young pranksters, eager to jump the gun, began this ritual early, targeting unsuspecting dock and factory workers. What started as a hat-snatching spree turned into full-blown chaos. For over a week, New York streets were dominated by roaming youth gangs, determined to annihilate every straw hat in sight. And while we can chuckle about it now, the straw hat riots were no joke, with numerous injuries and arrests. Amid the Prohibition era, perhaps New Yorkers just needed a way to let off some steam. And, well, hats off to them for creativity. Ever heard of an Olympic event that sounds more like a wild comedy sketch than a serious competition? Well, brace yourselves, because the 1904 St. Louis Olympic Marathon has tales to make your jaw drop. Picture this: a hot July day, 32 runners, and only one water station for nearly 25 miles. Yep, you heard that right. Thanks to the quirky belief of organizer James E. Sullivan, who thought dehydration was like a spa treatment for athletes. But wait, the shenanigans don't end there. The winner, he thought marathons were best done by car. The runner-up tried to enhance his performance with a dash of rat poison, and as for the fourth competitor, well, he treated it like a pajama party, snoozing away mid-race to rest off his stomach cramps. If only we had this comedy gold on tape. Alright, ever imagined a scenario where Pepsi is preparing for global domination? Well, not quite, but here's a close enough tale. Picture the late 80s, with the Soviet Union's craze for that sweet cola taste. The issue: the Soviets' deal with Pepsi had run its course, and their currency was a no-go for renewing the contract. So, what's the logical solution? Trading in submarines and Navy ships, of course. With a whopping deal equivalent to $3 billion in Pepsi, the company temporarily became a naval superpower. Yet they momentarily had a fleet mightier than most nations, though they swiftly sold it off to a Swedish scrappy. Just imagine if they'd taken their cola wars with Coca-Cola a bit too literally.